In a world of increasing mental health challenges, psychology and faith can both provide tools for healing and wellness. This is the idea behind Journey on My Mind. Each episode, our panel of pastors and therapists sit down together to share their experiences and insights on the modern world's mental health issues: depression, loneliness, aging, addiction, and so much more. Join us now as we explore what it means to thrive at the complex intersection of spirit and psychology.
Welcome to A Journey on My Mind. We're going to keep this one short.
A short journey.
A short journey on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And we're back with Dave and Sam. I was going to say three white guys behind mics.
But he didn't say
I
that.
didn't. I was going to
Good thing you didn't say three white guys behind mics.
It's salty crew. But we hope to keep this one brief.
Yeah. So just a little thing to be thinking about. We're living, this is no big news flash.
Mm-hmm.
We're living in a time that's highly anxious.
Yeah.
There's a lot of angry rhetoric. We're exposed to all kinds of things. And this is true no matter what your political persuasion, no matter where you are in the culture.
That's right.
It's just people are feeling all this stuff because our culture is just electrified with all this, not in a good way. So I'm going to throw out a proposal.
Okay.
And we're going to debate it a little bit.
Okay.
And it's just more for your consideration,
Okay.
for people to think about.
Okay.
Great.
But one of the ways that I have decided that I need to be an emotionally healthy person is that I have cut myself off in almost entirely. I'll put a little asterisk by it from news aggregators where you do doom scroll just one story after another. Most social media. I've unsubscribed from all my email alerts from news sources.
Okay.
And I've taken all the notifications on my apps from everything except like my personal messages, Slack, and things like that.
Yeah.
So my phone is quiet, and I'm having clients come in and say, "Did you hear about blah blah blah?" And honestly, I mean, there could have been an earthquake in China, and right now I haven't heard about it.
Right.
And I'm not saying I'm going to stay in this condition,
Yeah.
or stake this in the ground forever and ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I've realized my call right now is to be the most emotionally healthy and clear-headed human I can be, because I've got a lot of people 1 hour after another who are very distressed, and I can't be in that place
That's right.
with them.
Right.
And I just think it's a good thing to consider. The counterpoint is, well, it's our obligation to be informed. It's our obligation to kind of know what's up.
Yeah.
We have to be sort of engaged citizens.
Yeah.
And so that's really the debate. One of
Yeah.
my kids takes the position of like, I have to be vigilant and know what's going on in the culture, as an example.
Yeah.
I have clients that definitely take that position.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now, I will clarify. I have not. I've totally eliminated Twitter. I think there's nothing good about it. I have parked Facebook where I haven't looked at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I put it on. I've hidden it on my phone, and then I post one picture a day, a pretty picture a day on Instagram, just because I'm like, I'm going to put something nice
happy.
into the
Put
world.
something into the
Yeah,
world.
just
Put something good out
a picture
there.
I've taken that I like.
Yeah.
I love that.
Out there, and that repost onto Threads. That's it. But I haven't. So I can't say I'm off social media entirely.
Sure.
But I'm not checking. I'm done with Twitter. Not checking Threads. Not checking Facebook. And I mean, my phone is quiet, where it used to buzz constantly.
Yeah.
And anytime, like it would be in the time we've been here, if I pulled it out and checked, there would be tons of little alerts on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a proposal for being a clear-headed, emotionally healthy
Have you
person.
found it to be helpful?
Yes, I
Okay.
will say
Okay.
for sure.
I can speak to a little bit to that because I got off socials in 2018.
Okay.
So I'm 6 years into.
Oh, you've sustained it.
Done.
Okay, good.
Abstain.
I've abstained. Now they're not shut down. Like you can go to my Insta. You can go. I kind of parked them, like you said.
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't close them down because I didn't know if I'd want to re-engage ever. But it's interesting because 2016 is when it began for me. The first time, the first
Yes.
Trump and Hillary election, when it was
Yeah.
You know, and
all that rancor and all
it
that
was,
division.
It was,
and
a
all
lot
that.
of vitriol.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, coming from the Midwest, I have a lot of friends and family that were riding on both sides of that
For
line.
sure,
right?
yeah. You're in the country that those are the swing states. And
Yeah,
all,
absolutely.
Right.
And so, and I just all I was getting was I was just seeing like this meanness to each other. And I'm like, you guys love each other. Well, I thought you did, you know, so there's just all this back and forth. And I just was finding like, this is unhealthy for me. It was causing me, it was like raising my anxiety. I was focused too much on the chaos that was around. And so finally I'm like, I'm just going to put it down for like a month. And I just didn't pick it back up. And it's been, for me, I still feel like I'm informed. I just get to choose instead of having it just always flooding in my face. Like I'm intentional about going and doing the work to be informed.
Yes. Good. I love that.
Okay.
Yeah. I love all that.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I'm at.
You're my hero in this way now, because you've lived it out for now
6
years. Yeah. That's awesome.
Sam's always my hero.
Yeah, of course.
And
he looks like
guys,
Owen Wilson.
Sorry to say, I still have Twitter.
Well, I love
X.
that there's the 3 examples.
And we're not saying
it's not bad.
What you,
I know.
As much as what do you think about this notion of this premise?
I'm still, I don't find a lot of good in social media. So that's part of my dilemma.
Yeah.
I've never picked up TikTok. So if you're wondering out there, I don't even have the app. Never interests me.
My TikTok account thinks that I like an account about a blind baboon, and I actually weirdly do. I didn't used to, but now
you do.
I
He's
really
become your
do.
bro.
It's a baboon named Cindy. And
I enjoy it from the standpoint of it covers my sports teams in ways that I can get all that little bit of information in the same spot
and get it quickly.
Yeah. And then I fiercely control what's on there. And so if the algorithm switches, I quickly camp in places that get it back to it where it should be, and I delete stuff all the time. But I only check it once a day. Usually after, like later in the day, I'll go, so what happened with my sports teams today? But as far as Facebook goes, I never got Facebook. I never really... I
engaged it.
I have an account. Yeah, because we did it in church, and everybody was like, "Yeah, you need to be on this." So I got on it, and I have and last time I looked, probably half a year ago, I had like 600 followers or friends or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know any of them.
Yeah.
So there's a piece of that I would like to see pictures. So that part of it. So I engage from that. But as far as news goes and I don't have any notifications live on my phone. I don't even have, and this drives my wife crazy. I don't have my ringer on. I don't have.
Drives my wife crazy too.
I am, nothing pops up on my phone ever. I turn off all the notifications.
Good. That's good.
For this reason. I want to be present.
Yeah.
And so, but there are times when I turn it on because I've been told, I'm going to try and call you. I'd like to get a hold of you. Somebody, like if you're trying to get a hold of me or somebody, then I'll turn it on.
Right.
But for the most part, I control it that way. But I subscribe to newspapers. That's how I get.
What are those?
Online. I'm online.
Online.
I am on the. I get the New York Times and I get the Wall Street Journal, and they are counterpoint. They are
more liberal, more conservative.
Yes. So I get both perspectives. And I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I enjoy the perspectives, knowing full well, going into it with my eyes open. It's like the difference between watching Fox News and CNN.
Right.
Oh, you have a liberal slant. You have a conservative slant. And I'm not really in either of your camps, but it's interesting to hear how you vilify each other. So okay. But the New York Times actually has turned into pretty good. They'll tell you. They'll say this is a liberal view. They'll just tell you. And so will the Wall Street Journal. Yeah. And so that's what I do. I've kind of aggregated myself in that regard. But I understand turning it off. I for the most part turned it off. I just still have it, and I engage with it on my own terms.
Yeah, for me, it's actually presented a couple of challenges too, though. That I've been doing the math on: is this enough to re-engage this in some form?
Oh,
right. Like,
okay.
Because I work with an artist.
Right.
So I manage an artist called Keep Warm,
and that's
right?
a big deal.
And socials are all, right.
Yeah.
And so as I continue forward with that, it's, I'm kind of hitting a point where it's like I probably need to re-engage this from a business standpoint, but I want to do it. The slowness for me has been I want to do this in a way that I'm not gonna. Yeah. It's not gonna spin me, but I can enter it back into it in a healthy way, I guess.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So there's definitely downsides to being off of it, like, because I miss a lot. I miss a lot of family things.
Yes,
like,
that's what I miss.
I miss a lot of like, oh, I didn't know such and such was sick, or Angela's really good about filling me in.
Lori fills me in.
I've never been administratively a great, so she always makes sure I know what I need to know and everything.
Right.
But it's been really healthy for me.
But I would ask the question. This is the question I think you're actually asking is, I think there are some personalities that it doesn't have as deep and biting effect on as there are others. I don't find myself dwelling on the issues. I don't find myself dwelling on, just another earthquake or another this, another that, another shooting, another. It does keep me attuned with what is happening around me in such a way that I feel like I can be more relevant to the moment.
For me, the issue isn't about a news story being oppressive or weighty for me, because to be honest, I'm used to that in my job.
Yes,
I hear bad news every hour.
You hear trauma all the time.
Right.
Right. So that part I can absorb. It's just the people behaving badly to each other. That's the part that I need to kind of get away from.
Yeah.
And so even with me, with the news aggregators, which are different than a newspaper,
right,
just have
right.
all these different news sources, and then 50% of them are somebody just ranting about this or giving an opinion about that, and it's just all the same.
Like Apple News,
it's all the same
aggregation.
Well, and I will say that the way I think about social media is kind of like it's like fire. Is it good or bad? Well, it depends. If it's in the fireplace, it's great. If it's on the roof, it's really bad.
Right.
And I think on balance, social media has become more the house is on fire than it is like a nice fire
warm
pit.
Yeah.
And it seems like the promise that it has offered of greater democracy and elevating voices and
free
all that
speech
has been outweighed by the nastiness and the division and the rancor of it. And we know it's kind of like back in the, let's say, 80s, where we kind of began to know that smoking was bad. But people, like, if you got on an airplane, it was all full of smoke. If you went in a restaurant, it was like, but people still did it until there was a certain point where culturally we're like, wait, we know this is bad for us and our kids. Let's set some limits and boundaries of where this can happen and why and how and all that stuff. Yeah. I think social media is very similar, is that the research on it never comes back and says, on balance, this is really good for your mental health. Right. It almost always comes back and says, it's really bad for us. It's killing our kids. It's really bad. And yet we're like, well, scroll. And so I think
is it got an addictive thing?
I mean, literally it's built into the way we do it. Like the pull down is like what you do with the slot machine. It's that instant gratification.
No, you're right.
Well, you're assuming I know what a slot machine is.
I don't either. I've just heard about it.
Yes.
Kevin doesn't know the ways of the world.
That's right.
Just like a slot machine.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, my BC days.
Yeah. So I
bingo.
Yeah. I think that for me has been like, why then am I soaking my head in that part of it?
Yeah.
And right now, it's hard to parse it out because I'd love to be on Facebook and see people's vacation pictures and hear that. But to kind of, it's like a minefield to kind of weave through all these.
Oh, it is.
And the hard thing is there are people that I love and care about that are saying inflammatory or divisive things. I just I don't need that in my head right now.
No, that's where I agree with you. Yeah, that's really difficult.
100%. And the other piece that I'm I'm thinking is the argument. One of the counter arguments is, well, if you're going to do that, then you're just abdicating and you're putting your head in the sand and you're disengaging.
Yeah.
I actually think there's this illusion that brings us that we're doing something.
Yeah.
Like when we're scrolling through all that stuff,
Right.
it feels like we're engaged and we're doing something. We're doing nothing.
I'll tell you,
And I want to be emotionally and mentally sharp and healthy
That's right.
to
We're
do
doing
the work.
nothing.
well, I felt much less connected to people,
Right.
like in real
You felt
life.
disconnected from-
You
Yeah.
know, it's supposed to do the opposite, but it did. You know, it
I
didn't.
100% agree with
Yeah.
you. I think that's part of
To allow me to be present.
the promise of it being a connector has actually flipped on us, and it's like
Well, has it
disconnector.
overpromised? Because we're not built to know 3,000
right,
right,
to have
like
10,000
all of that.
followers
Yeah.
or whatever it
Right.
is.
Yeah.
So-
It's yeah.
Or 600, 700 Facebook friends that
Right.
are like, I don't
Yeah,
even
you
know who
don't
this
know.
person is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've gone on there and gone, oh, who are these people? And they're on my Facebook page. Like,
Which means you said yes to him.
I did.
You
It's
friended
not-
him somehow.
yeah, I did. You're
At some
right.
point.
You're right. I did.
It's on you, Kevin.
I've been thinking.
And
about
I don't
that.
think
That's
I've
the best
ever
part.
said no to anybody. I'm like,
I'm
oh, you want? Sure, sure.
Yeah.
You know.
Now there's probably 38 Kevin Dixon Facebook.
Yeah, there probably are. But the last time I looked at it, wasn't pretty. Was
Oh
it?
man.
Not nice.
Yes.
So true.
So
All right.
we're not necessarily saying,
Don't do it.
Yeah.
we're just
Right.
saying contemplate this.
Yeah.
And think about it in not this passive way where
Yeah.
you're just like, well, I guess
Yeah.
I got to be on Twitter. I mean,
yeah.
why? You don't have to be.
I think that
Like-
example of like fire or a car,
Yeah.
right? The who's behind the wheel, right?
Yeah.
That determines is it
Yeah.
a missile or is it a vehicle,
Right.
Right.
So I
Right.
think social media
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
the same.
Pharmaceuticals,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
alcohol. It's like
100%.
It's like it could be something that connects people and is a
Right.
nice part of an evening for
Right.
people, or it could be very destructive
That's
and
right.
Yeah.
destroy families.
Yeah.
It's this. So things that are powerful
Yeah.
usually cut both ways. There's this tremendous power to do good and tremendous power to do bad, and we sort of all the research says, look, there's a lot of bad here, and we're like, great, more.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the part where I think we need to
Right.
reflect on and
Yeah.
and use this moment to say, if this is making you angry, depressed, anxious,
Yeah.
take the hint
Stop.
and stop.
Right.
It's good.
Hey, thanks for joining us on this short journey on my mind. You can find us on all the socials.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Journey on My Mind. If you enjoyed it, please help us spread the word by leaving us a review and sharing it on your social media. Journey on My Mind is a production of Journey Church in Brentwood, Tennessee. Edwin Rivera III is the show's producer with technical assistance from Randy Hansen. Grant Opperman edits the show. If you have a suggestion for a future topic or a question, you can text us at 615-861-9503. And if you would like to talk to someone about spiritual or mental health issues, you can email our care pastor, Sam Barnhart, at sam@journeytn.com.